Hello and welcome back to The Drag Detective. Today we are going to be talking about some queens who have yet to come back to the franchise for an All-Stars or a Versus the World season, what have you, that fans, I think, really expected to see back by now. So I picked 10 queens who I think we all in general kind of assumed would come back at some point, but have yet to return. We're going to get into maybe some of the reasons why the queen wouldn't want to come back or why production didn't bring them back, and maybe their likelihood of coming back. But first, I want to announce, and if you follow me on any of my socials, you've already seen this, but I officially have merch, and I'm very excited. One of my best friends in the entire world designed this merch, all of the designs, and I love it. And I hope that you guys love it too. I'm so excited to be launching something like this. I know you guys have been asking for merch for a while, so I'm here to deliver. So the link to my merch store is in the description below. Check it out. Get a piece or two. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you buy anything, make sure to tag me in it on any social media platform, and maybe I'll throw you into a video. I think that would be kind of cute. So there is that. And now we can go into the mystery behind the queens we expected to return and maybe why they haven't. So we're going to go in kind of sequential order. The first queen that I picked out for this list, I looked over season 1, I looked over season 2, I looked over season 3, and I would say most of the queens that you would expect to come back, and even some that you wouldn't expect to come back, have all come back. Those casts, I think, are very picked over. And, you know, there's obviously some early outs that could return and things like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see many queens return from these seasons, unless they're, like, already all-stars and they get brought back again, like a Yara Sofia, like a Manila Luzon. So we're going to look at season 4. And there's one queen in particular that I think has been clamored by fans for a while now as someone they wanted to see come back. And I think she wants to come back. I don't understand why she hasn't come back. And that is our first French queen, Dida Ritz. Dida Ritz on season 4, I don't think is remembered because she slayed the challenges or the runways necessarily. I think she was remembered because she was so much fun in the workroom. She had some really fun confessionals, and she was tied with Latrice, I would say, as the lip sync assassin of this season. Her lip sync against the princess, who is someone else I would love to see come back, is known as one of the greatest of all time. Some people do rank it as the greatest of all time. And, I mean, I can't argue with that. She was such a light on this season where there was so many negative people in the room. You know, you had fights with the winner and Fifi, and Willam got involved, and Milan and Jiggly had fights, and, you know, everyone was fighting. And then in the midst of the chaos, there just stands Dida Ritz, just ready to say some kind of funny quip and lighten the mood a little bit. And, you know, despite her not doing super well in the competition, I mean, the track record isn't great. She made it all the way to Final 5, which, you know, then got pushed to Final 6 once Kenya came back. And she was a huge presence on the season. So especially now that we're going back to these older seasons and we're bringing back people like Serena Chacha and India Farah and some people on All-Stars 8 who I'm not going to spoil the cast in this video. But if there's someone that you're like, why didn't Drag Detective mention this person? They're probably on All-Stars 8. Dida Ritz is someone I think the producers would totally want to see back. I mean, even if she's not going to win a bunch of challenges or whatever, I think she does have some stuff to redeem, specifically, you know, her challenge prowess. Her runways would be a big one. And I think even if she only lasts, let's say, 4 episodes, she really, I think, could kind of have a big comeback into this fandom. I mean, she's obviously very prevalent in the Chicago drag scene. And I would just love to see her be more integrated with the overall fandom. Because, tons of people say they want to see her back, but no one actually talks about what she's doing at the moment or is sharing her social media posts or anything like that. So I think this would be a great chance to bring back someone who the fandom, I think in broad strokes, has somewhat forgotten about, and give her the platform to show her growth, show how much she's changed, and give her a chance to redeem all of the things that she has to redeem from season 4. So, do I think she's going to come back? I don't know. I think it's very strange that she hasn't, which makes me question, is there something going on behind the scenes? Does she maybe not have a good relationship with WoW? Or does WoW, have a specific reason why they wouldn't bring her back, even as a lip sync assassin? We've now had 3 seasons with a lip sync assassin twist, and I don't think she's going to be on any of them. It's kind of strange. And that's just what comes to my head, is like maybe there's something going on behind the scenes, because she is so beloved, and why wouldn't you want her back? So I'm going to say, if she hasn't been brought back in any capacity at this point, I think it's probably unlikely, but I hope that she would come back. I'm full team Dida Ritz redemption arc for All Stars 9, and I'm ready for the Ritz-essence. So with that, let's talk about our second queen. And this is one I almost left off the list, because I do think we have a lot of answers now. But she is someone that when you think about queens you're shocked haven't returned, she's definitely one that comes up. And that is the queen of the devil's lettuce herself, Laganja Estranja, mama. And she obviously just came back for All-Star 6 as a lip sync assassin. And Laganja is someone who, over time, she kind of flip-flopped whether she would come back or not. Sometimes if people ask her, she's like, I would go back. I think, I have more to show. And then other times when people ask her, she's like, no, that's not the environment for me. That's not where I'm going to excel. I don't want to go through that again. And, that's normal to have, differing opinions throughout time. But right now, I think she is kind of on the, I'm good. I came back for All-Star 6. I got my redemption somewhat of like, here I am, I'm successful, I'm an iconic lip sync assassin, I beat one of the best lip syncers the show has ever seen, Trinity K. Bonet, and everybody fell in love with her. I mean, I think throughout history, Laganja has been more of a sympathetic figure now than she was when the season aired. And I think over time the fandom really has fallen in love with her, when maybe she didn't get that much love when her season did air. But I think her coming back was really just like, the entire fandom embraced her. Everybody loved her. Everybody adored her. Everyone was like, she is that bitch. So I think if she were to come back, 1, I think she would do pretty well, and 2, I think she'd get a really, really good reception from the fandom. So, not saying she needs to come back. I mean, if she doesn't want to, that's completely valid. But I think it'd be a really good thing for her. I think it would really be a fruitful endeavor for Laganja Estranja. But as to why she hasn't been brought back, I know that she was asked. I know that All-Stars 2, she was potentially going to be on and got cut or left before it started filming, something like that. So she's definitely been approached by production, and I think maybe it's just the timing is never right. When she is ready to come on, maybe production isn't interested, and when production is interested, maybe she's not interested. So I think it's just like they're never on the same page. I think it was great that they brought her back for All-Star 6. I think that was a great moment for her. And if that is her last time on the show, well, that's a damn good way to go out. You know what I mean? So do I think we're going to see Laganja Estranja on? I don't think anytime soon. I think that, let's say in another 2 years, she's like, you know what, I did have fun. The fandom really enjoyed seeing me on the show. Maybe I do want to go back. I could see that happening, but I don't think anytime soon. And as much as I think we all would love to see it, if it's not what she's really wanting to do at this point in her career, then that has to be respected. And, she's killing it. She has a podcast with Joseph Shepard. She's still booked and blessed, and she's doing product placement and all this stuff. So honestly, she's doing fine. And if she doesn't want to come back, then girl, thank you just so much again for coming back on All-Star 6 and blessing us with one of the greatest lip sync performances of all time. So now we're going to talk about a queen who, of all the people on this list, she might be the one I want to see come back the most. I think she has a lot to prove. I think she was very overlooked on her season. I think she was very just not someone production cared that much about. But I think she had a lot of really great moments on her season. And I think that now if she were to come back, she would for sure be a threat for the crown. And that is Miss Jaidynn Diore Fierce. Now, Jaidynn on season 7, there was definitely sometimes I think she could have won a challenge and didn't, specifically the spoof challenge, where she did an incredible Bianca Del Rio portrayal. And this was right after season 6. So Bianca was like in everybody's mind. She did a great impersonation and really, I think, stood out among everyone in that challenge. She consistently had fun runways. She consistently was super good in the confessional. She showed us every part of her being, her breakdowns, her great moments, her insecurities. I think she was so well-rounded. And if it wasn't for that it wasn't stupid, but the conjoined twins challenge where she and Tempest du Jour had to look like sisters, I mean, I think maybe she could have made it a little bit further. She's a queen who makes everything that she wears. She's a queen who is such a good lip syncer. To this day, I see people on TikTok at her shows showing how great she is. And, she's really great at crowd interaction. And, it's been, 6-7 years since her season now. Think about all the things that she's learned from watching herself, from touring, from just the way that drag has shifted since, her time on the show. I really think Jaidynn is the full package. I think she has so much charisma. I think she does bring a unique perspective to how she makes her looks and what she brings. I think she definitely has nerve to make Tempest du Jour stuck by her ass in that conjoined twins challenge. And obviously she is one of the greatest lip syncers of that season. She has so much talent. And I think in this era where All Stars is less about bringing the best of the best back, and instead bringing back people who maybe weren't the best at the time, but are at the top of their game now, I think Jaidynn could have a really, really great run on All-Stars. Whether she wants to come back or they've even asked her or whatever, I don't know exactly. I don't think she's been very vocal like other queens have about when they're asked or when they're not asked or how they feel. But I feel like she would want to come back. I mean, WoW used her for their React series on YouTube. She's always at DragCon. She's still booked and blessed. I don't see why we can't have our Jaidynn Diore Fierce redemption storyline All-Star season. And honestly, it's one that I want, and I know a lot of other people want her too, to come back. She's someone I think a lot of the casuals, as people like to call them, probably if you said, oh, I want to see Jaidynn Diore Fierce on All-Stars, they would be like, who the fuck is that? I think it definitely would be a good pick for an All-Star, someone that maybe not a lot of people remember, but who has grown a lot and probably has a lot to show on All-Stars. So that's my pick to come back. Do I think she'll come back? Yes, I think eventually. I mean, and I have no reason to say yes or no. It's kind of just like, why wouldn't she? But if they haven't picked her yet, will they ever? I really hope that they do. Let's talk about a queen from season 8, one of the most iconic villains of all time. It is Acid Betty. Now, Acid Betty, I think, really did well on season 8. She's one of those queens like Max, who was doing so well, but then flopped Snatch Game, and it was just like, well, they went home. There's nothing you can do about it, because they did flop that challenge. But it sucks to see a queen who is getting such momentum and doing great on the runway and doing great in the challenges and has a story arc going on, and then it all gets cut short midway through the season. And that is exactly what happened to Acid Betty. She is one of the most unique queens from the show. We've seen queens like Crystal Method and Evie Oddly and Willow Pill since her, who kind of have these alt weird kind of aesthetics. But Betty's is so specific. I mean, it's alien, grunge, neon, acid trip. It's something I've never seen from another queen. And especially now when there's like 1,000 drag queens running around, it's hard to sometimes be as unique as you could have been earlier on in the show. And to this day, no one's aesthetic has looked like Acid Betty's. And I think the level of runways that she could bring to an All-Stars is iconic. You know she's going to go make good TV. She's not going to try and hold back and be like, well, I want to be good for the cameras. No, that bitch said whatever was on her mind on season 8, and I loved it. And you know I love a villain. You know I'll always side with the villain. So bring Acid Betty back. I think it would be so good. And as to like why she hasn't been brought back, I don't know. Again, it's like, is there something going on with like her in production? Do they not have a good relationship? Why wouldn't you bring her back? Because she is such good TV. She's such a talented drag artist. And the level of runways and challenge performances that she would bring to an All-Stars, I think, is top notch. So bring her back. Like, I don't know. I really thought maybe All-Stars 8 would be it. Especially since, like, Thorgy and Bob are, you know, at the top of their games right now. The fandom loves them both so much. And on season 8, she was like the third prong of that, like, trio. So bring her back. Next, we are going to talk about a queen that I think the general fandom, if you were to ask just anyone who's seen Drag Race once, who is someone you want to see come back on All-Stars? This is a queen that I think a lot of people would say. And that is Miss Peppermint. Now, Peppermint on season 9, season 9 was my first Drag Race season that I watched live, and I knew Peppermint because I'd seen her videos with Sherry Vine. She did a telephone parody that I saw, and I'd seen her in something else, so I knew Peppermint. And, you know, I didn't know many drag queens at the time. Before I started watching Drag Race, I knew DWV, I knew, you know, Willam, Detox, and Vicky Vox. I knew Peppermint, I knew Sherry Vine, and that might have been it, obviously RuPaul, but Peppermint was someone that I was like, oh, she hasn't been on the show yet? Like, she's on now? Okay. And she is one of the standouts of that season. You know, she didn't slay every single challenge or every single runway, but kind of like a Dida Ritz, she was just so lovable. She showed us so much of herself and her truth, and was one of the best lip syncers of that season. And she was just such great representation at the time where we didn't really have that on Drag Race like we do now, which, you know, still isn't great, but it's better than where we were. And I just don't know why they wouldn't bring her back. And people asked her, you know, Peppermint, like, why haven't you come back for All-Stars? And she's like, girl, they haven't asked me. And I was shocked by that. I was like, no way they did not ask back Peppermint yet. And that blows my mind. Why would you not? Obviously, she was a little bit busy after her season because she was on motherfucking Broadway. She, you know, is doing music. She's still touring. She's one of those girls where, like, even if she wasn't on Drag Race, she would have been still, like, around. You know what I mean? Like, Willam would have been around even if she wasn't on Drag Race. Shangela, if she wasn't on Drag Race, she would have gotten her shit together and been fine. Like, there's certain people that just have such a star quality to them that even if they weren't on the show, they definitely would have still made strides in their career. And that's Peppermint to me. But I think she could win a season. Like, of all the queens on this cast, she is the one that I'm like, if she comes back, she could win. Like, fully house down. That would make every single finalist of season 9 a winner, which would just be iconic. And I think she would have the fan support. I mean, how do you not love Peppermint? So, will she come back? I would be stunned if she didn't, because she's an icon. She is a runner-up. She is one of the greatest lip syncers the show has ever seen, one of the biggest sweethearts the show has ever seen, and one of the most successful queens outside of the show. So if she's not, you know, turning down offers, why wouldn't she come back? Why wouldn't they ask her? I don't know. This one is really weird to me. Like, how could you not invite Peppermint back? And there's been like 4 All-Star seasons, 5 since her season aired. It's crazy to me. But moving on, we're going to talk about a dynamic duo now, because they're both from the same season, and I think since their season they've kind of just been kind of not pushed together, but I think people kind of think of them as a duo because they have an internet series together. They tour together all the time. They're always together on Instagram. And that is Cameron Michaels and Asia O'Hara. Will they come back? I think yes. I think eventually yes. But it's kind of for them, I don't think that they've needed to yet. I think that they have been pretty steadily touring ever since their season ended. They're on all the Work the Worlds. I think they were both on the Drag Race Live in Vegas. You know, I think that they're being used a lot. And it's because they're such great performers. Like, two of the greatest performers we've ever seen. And I think they both do have things to redeem. Obviously, Asia dropped the ball in the finale. And I think Cameron just didn't show us her entire personality. And I think that they've probably grown a lot since their season, both as people and as queens. And I think if you were to bring them on together, that would be a great storyline. Because obviously we're going to get to the point where one of them's going to have to send the other one home. But I think that that's such a great narrative for them to come in with. Like, hey, I'm with my best friend. We're doing this together. That's kind of like the kind of storyline that the producers would eat up. And they would be at the forefront for like most of the season until one of them has to cut the other at like final 6 or whatever. So I'm less surprised that they haven't been back because I know it's like yet. You know what I mean? Like I know they're going to be back, but they're so busy. They're so successful. It's like there's no rush. There's no rush at all to come back. I feel like with them, they probably get asked every single year. Cameron has already been a lip sync assassin. And yeah, I think that they for sure will be back. It's maybe just when their touring schedule is a little more empty. So now let's talk about another season 10 queen. And this is a very slight spoiler for All Stars 8. We're not listing any names, but All Stars 8 has a lot of early outs on it. And I felt like this queen would have really, really done well on All Stars 8 with that cast. Because I think she fits into that formula of like a queen who went home early, but has really established herself with the fandom as like a mainstay. Like someone everyone talks about, everyone knows. She is always on YouTube, and that is Yuhua Hamasaki. So Yuhua had a lot of screen time on season 10 for being an early out. I mean, she's in those first 3 episodes like constantly. I think she has storylines like every single episode. And when she goes home, I know that the spoilers were a little bit off on that season because it had like Dusty Ray going second and Yuha first was like top 7 and then she was like maybe she's earlier out. So the spoilers of like the elimination order on that season were a little bit wonky. But I kind of expected Yuha to make it way further because like there were spoilers that she did and she was in the narrative so much. And then when she went home third, I was like, whoa, okay. Was not expecting that. And since her season, you know, she's kind of just cemented herself as like one of the main girls. Everyone watches Bootleg Opinions. Everyone loves to watch her, you know, crazy Zoom antics on there. And, you know, even if she's not known as like a touring queen necessarily, she's not known as like posting these fierce photo shoots on Instagram. Like just being a personality on YouTube has led her to be a main Drag Race girl. And I think that the personality is there. I think that the budget is probably there now. I think that the talent is there. And I think if you brought her back, she would be like controlled chaos. You know what I mean? Like in the best way. I feel like she is chaotic good at all times. And I think she would just bring a lot to a season. And I thought All Stars 8 would be that moment for her. Maybe All Stars 9 is in her future, but I'm not sure why she hasn't been brought back yet, especially when we're kind of shifting the focus of All Stars from like the best of the best to just who we want to see get a redemption. I think she's another one that if she came back, I'm pretty confident that she would do pretty damn well. Next, we're going to talk about Nina West. Season 11, and let me just get this out in the open. Nina West is like my girl. Like, I live in Cleveland. She is a Columbus girl. I've seen her, and just the love that Columbus has for her, how proud they are of her, how she represents them so well. She's not my like local girl, but it feels like that because she is the biggest Ohio queen from the show. And until my favorite Cleveland drag queen, Peach Fuzz, gets on the show, that will remain to be the case. Nina West was such a presence on season 11, kind of like Dida Ritz, where there was all this negativity and fighting and nasty arguments. And Nina West was just kind of there to stay out of it, be positive, maybe comment some funny stuff in the confessional about how crazy these bitches were. But she was just such a breath of fresh air on that season that had so much nastiness. And her perspective is one we don't see very often. We get maybe like a camp queen every other season. And especially back then. We get some more now because of how beloved Nina West was. But at the time, she was kind of this niche faction of drag that we didn't get to see on the show every single season. And, they obviously brought the dessert one on season 12. They brought Tina Burner on season 13. These very, campy, over-the-top, theatrical queens. Nina West is really, I think, what cemented that as something that the casting directors look for. You'll see that a couple times. I think that because of Evie Oddly, we always have to have that weird, quirky, artsy queen now. Because of Nina West, we have to have that theatrical camp queen. And she really, I think, cemented herself as a casual's favorite. I think if you ask a lot of casuals, well, who's someone you want to come back? They're going to say Nina West. And, she's someone who's really just made a niche for herself. She works with Disney a lot, is doing musicals, and I think she's doing Hairspray right now, touring the country. She's obviously got her bag. She is booked and blessed. She doesn't really need to come back, but I am surprised she hasn't, just because of how beloved she was during her season. I think a lot like Kameron and Asia, it's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. And I hope that she does. I remember seeing her in Columbus for Pride, and it was right after season 11 finished airing. And there was just so much love in that room for her. And, you did our town proud. And you were just that bitch to us. And I've been to some drag shows. I've never felt that kind of love in the room for a queen. It kind of made me, emotional. I was like, yeah, Nina West, you fucking did that. So I hope that she comes back eventually, just because I think she would really do well. I think the one thing that she didn't have together was runways, and, she now has the money to have whatever she wants. So now let's talk about our last queen. And this one is kind of breaking the rules a little bit, because this queen has been on All Stars, but I'm surprised she hasn't been back again. And this is Adore Delano, who obviously, fan favorite of season 6, quit in the second episode of All Stars 2 because she just had a lot of stuff going on in her personal life. It was pretty overwhelming for her. And, in the years since, which is 5-6 years since All Stars 2, she's just continued to be a fan favorite. Even if she's not on the show constantly, or if she's not, on these giant tours, she still is just one of the mainstays of the franchise. Now, she was on All-Star 6, almost. She passed all the things, she was ready to go, but when it came time for her to present her talent show to them, which was a fire-breathing thing, the producers were like, no, you're not doing that. And she was like, okay, well, then I'm not doing this. So she dropped out. And, we were so close. And that would have been a really good season for her to be on, I think. And then I really thought she was going to be on All Stars 8. I really, really thought. And I think she was definitely in the casting pool because there were some tea spills that she'd been asked and that, she was talking about it. For whatever reason, it didn't come through. Do I think she's going to be on? I want to say yes, but I'm kind of why hasn't it happened yet? It always just seems like something goes wonky, or she pulls out, or production's well, we're going to choose someone else over you. That's kind of the feel. And she's also a queen who doesn't need it. So, does she need to come back? Not really. Would everyone love to see her back? For sure. She's another queen seeing live. It's just it doesn't matter that she hasn't been on the show in 5 years. The love that was there on season 6 is still there now. And she's such a great performer. She's such a great singer. Her music is so good. I think that she really is such a talented human, and I want to see her back as much as a lot of people do, but I'm starting to think maybe it's just not going to come together. Of everyone on this list that I've mentioned, she's kind of in that lower half of queens that I expect to see back, because I think Cameron and Peppermint and Nina West and Asia, like, these are queens where I'm like, yeah, we'll see them. And someone else who I left off, Vanjie, like, we're going to see them on again. But with Adore, it's kind of like, you know, we've gotten so close so many times, it just hasn't come to fruition. Or is one of the other party going to just say, you know, let's just forget it, like, it's not going to be a thing. So I don't know. I would love to see her back. I think she would have a lot to show. I think her drag has changed a lot since season 6 and All Stars 2. But yeah, we'll just have to see. So let me know, who from this cast do you want to see back? This could be a cast, like, if this was an All Stars cast, that'd be iconic. You know what I mean? That would be like A+ casting. So let me know who you want to see back. Is there anyone not on this list that you think you're kind of surprised you haven't seen back yet? There's a couple that I was, you know, thinking about. I didn't want to put on a ton of newer girls because, you know, especially season 11, season 12, those are seasons where there hasn't been that many opportunities yet. So yes, that is it for today. Here are the links to all of my social medias, and reminder, the link to my merch shop is in the description below, as well as my link tree. So go check that out. As always, thank you to my iconic, beautiful, legendary patrons. Your support means so much to me. I really, really appreciate you. And with that's the end of this mystery. And let's just hope that every single one of these queens are on All Stars 9. So I can't wait to see that cast leak in whatever, like 9 months. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.